Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
How are you?
We are doing good, Prabhuji. How are you doing?
Very good, thanks. I got a little late joining today. Hare Krishna,
Oh,
Girish.
no, you are on time.
On time, right on time? Good. That's
Yeah,
good.
it's just 5 right now.
Oh, that's true actually, yeah. Yeah. How's everybody doing? Everybody's okay?
Yeah, so far so good by grace of Krishna.
Enjoying the weather? Hare Krishna, Nandimukhi. How are you? Thoda mute, I can't hear you. हाँ, आप बोलो.
I'm just like you.
Just like me, happy.
Thank you. Yes.
That's good. That's very good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ram Priya Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
So is the temple now open in Vancouver?
Yes.
Like fully open or partly open?
But 50 people allowed, not more than 50.
What's that again?
Just only 50 people allowed, not more than 50.
Okay, so but all the functions are happening with 50 people.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not doing that yet.
We are lucky.
And daily darshan is also there, the
Yes.
regular
That's great.
timings.
And Pitashri, we are lucky.
You're very lucky.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, very, very lucky. That's right. Yeah. And I guess your COVID situation under control also, more or less, no?
Yeah.
Prabhuji, phase 2 started now. Daily 100 cases are coming. up
100
now.
cases.
Yeah, 100.
Wow.
So phase 2 started. They are thinking of second lockdown, but not sure yet.
Well, let's hope not. Let's hope not.
Yeah, hope not. That's all.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Gautam. How are you? Good to see you. I see Malvika there, but she won't show herself. There you go.
How are you?
I'm good. I still can't see you.
I know, but I thought I'd say Hari Bol.
Okay. Fine. And I see Prashant Shah. Not sure who that is.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Oh, there you go. You are Usha Mata's son, right?
No.
No? Who am I confusing you with?
No. Prashant from Vancouver.
Yeah, no, I know.
Nandimukhi, she's my mother.
Nandimukhi is your mother?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Himani, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, one of my friend wants to join. Can I give her name?
Absolutely, yeah.
And can I tell her to join?
Yes, please. Give her the number.
Oh,
Hare Krishna,
Okay.
Prabhuji, how are you?
okay. Thank you.
Fine, Himani. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing good. Good.
That's good. And Twinkle is there as well.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
How are you?
I am good. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Are you excited about the temple opening?
Yes, yes, I'm going on Sunday.
Oh, nice. Nice.
For sure, yeah. Okay, and Neeta Mata is hiding herself. Oh, Rani, Hare Krishna. Just saw
Hare
you.
Krishna Prabhuji.
How
How
are you? I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
That's good. And there's a S. Sharma. That looks like a new name to me.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
I can't see you, so I don't know who you are. Sorry.
My goodness.
Shama. Oh my God. Show yourself, will you?
You can't even recognize me.
Now I can recognize from your voice, but not from your name.
There
Show me
is
your picture.
there is not enough light, so I'm not
There
sure
you
if it's
go.
like
Now
here.
I can see you. Now I
So
can
now
see
you
now.
recognize me.
Of course I do.
Thank you.
Of course I do. She's my daughter, just everybody so knows. So she's just teasing me.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. So let's get started. I'm going to share the screen. and put the pranami mantra, and then we can take it from there. Okay, everybody can see it?
No.
No?
No, no.
Oh, hold on. Oh, because I didn't share it, I just moved. Okay. How's that? Yes. Okay. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshetarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so any questions from last week?
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, पूनम धवन
हाँ,
और
Hare Krishna.
वैंकूवर. हाँ, हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी.
How are you, Mataji?
प्रणाम.
Yeah.
हाँ, मुझे भी ज्वाइन कर लीजिए.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, I'm glad you joined.
हाँ जी, थैंक यू प्रभु जी.
Yeah, and I see Goody there as well. Jai Gaur.
Jai Gaur.
Yeah, this is my sister from Lucknow. Okay, any questions from last week? No questions? That's okay. It's not compulsory. So then basically, can somebody tell me what we talked about? Anything that stuck with you? Nothing is stuck with you? Must have been a very interesting chapter.
The soul is important, not the outside body, which matters more, is what stuck in my mind. Like inner soul is important, not the one which you are seeing outside the body.
Okay, but that every chapter we say that. I'm specifically thinking about.
Maybe I got it in the last class.
Okay, finally sunk in. Okay, that's
The
fair enough.
importance of having
Yeah.
guru.
Importance of having guru, yes.
Yeah, because that's how you can, reach to the direction of Krishna consciousness, I guess.
Right. What were the 6 topics that Arjun asked about Krishna to explain? Remember, he said right off the bat, he said, I want to know about these 6 things. And just to give you a hint.
Prakriti,
Yes,
Purusha,
yes.
Kshetra,
Yes.
Kshetrajna,
Yeah.
Jnanam, Jayam.
Jayam.
Geyam.
Noyam.
Okay.
Knowable. Yeah, very good. So
Okay.
those are the 6 points that he asked. So does anybody remember what is Kshetra?
Field
It's
of
field.
activities.
Field of activity, but what is that?
Kshetra is the body.
Sorry?
Kshetra is the body.
Yes.
Body.
Yes.
Field.
And Kshetrajya?
Knowledge of the body.
Yes. No, the knower of the body.
Knower of the body.
And who's that?
Paramatma.
No, knower of your body.
The soul?
Soul, yes. And knower of all bodies is Paramatma.
Paramatma.
Okay. And what was the other thing? The Prakriti, right? Prakriti is the material nature, yes, exactly. And Jayam was the object of knowledge, right? And we said that we gave an example of Paramatma and soul, the relationship of between Paramatma and soul, and we said they're like two something on a tree. Anybody remembers that?
Birds.
Yes, yes, exactly. Two birds on a tree. One is eating the fruits,
And the other one is watching.
and is watching and sanctioning. Two things. So
Yeah.
Paramatma is the witness and sanctioner, means permission giver. Right? Very good. Okay. So today we're going to do chapter 14. Before I start, we often use the term modes of material nature. Does anybody know what the word mode means?
It's like a medium, right?
No,
Medium.
no, it's not medium at all.
Like the nature
It's like the guna, quality.
quality, nature quality.
So the word guna, this is the Canadian pronunciation of the word guna. So actually the real word is gun, but in Canada we call it guna. It's like the actual word is Krishna, but we call him Krishna, because Canadians can't say anything that does not end with R or A. So
That's so funny.
it is funny, isn't it? Right, Melanie? You agree?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Good. So the word guna means quality and also means rope. The literal meaning of the word guna, there's two meanings. One is quality, other is rope. So then we also talked about modes of material nature. We said there were three of them. Anybody remember the three modes of material nature, what they are?
Modes of
Go ahead.
Mode of ignorance.
So that's one, mode of
Ignorance.
That's one. What's the other two?
Goodness.
Goodness, yeah, that's two. And
Passion.
passion, yes. So mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance.
ignorance.
And so they basically become like a rope. What does the rope do? It binds the person. So it ties you down, hands tied like this, and around the neck and around the legs and everything. It ties you down. So modes of material nature, in the sense of the rope, as an example, they tie you down to the material world. So just the concept. Okay? So here in chapter 14, Lord Krishna is saying, I am your father, and we'll talk about that in a second. And the job of the father is to give the children knowledge. And this chapter, he's going to give us knowledge that goes beyond anything he has taught us so far in the first 13 chapters. And he's going to explain what those modes of nature are, how they act, how they bind us to the material world, like the rope example I was giving you, and how they give liberation, and how they influence a person's character, a person's attitude, a person's behavior, and their approach to life. So just about everything about a person. The modes of material nature, they permeate everything we see, hear, taste, touch, or smell, like all our senses. And I'm going to tell you something funny. But it's not funny, but it's funny. It's how people think that they're functioning in this world by their free will. They're free to do what they want. But the truth is that they're forced to act according to their modes of material nature. We discussed this topic back in chapter 3, actually, verse 27 in chapter 3, which said that We are forced to act in a certain way by our modes of material nature. But out of our ego, being very foolish, we think we are doing it. We are the doers. So we'll talk in more detail about that concept in this chapter. But before I move, I'm going to ask one more time if there are any questions on what I just said. Is it clear? If not clear, I want to make sure that I answer your questions.
Can you please repeat that again?
So I'll repeat what?
Repeat the entire thing with, people are forced to act as per
Okay.
as
So
per the
basically,
modes of material nature.
yes.
Can you repeat that, the
Yes.
entire thing that you talked about just now?
Yes. I was just distracted by the noise. Okay. So the modes, meaning guna, meaning ropes, act like ropes that bind us. The three types of modes: mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And they basically determine how we behave, how we act, how we react, what our tastes are like, what our attitude is like, and so on and so forth. Like everything about us determined by what modes of material nature are predominant in our life. And we'll talk in more detail about that.
And then you said something about free will as well. Like,
Yes.
is free will not there then in that
Yes.
case?
So we'll talk about that also, but to answer your question, we all have free will. We never get rid of the free will because it's inherent. Remember, we're part and parcel of Krishna, who's supremely independent. Therefore, his quality of independence is in us also. It's a very minute amount, but we have free will. However, the confusion comes because the only place we can use our free will is to decide whether we are going to serve Lord Krishna or we are going to serve Maya. That's the only choice we have. That's the only free will we have. Once we have decided that we are going to be in Maya, then modes of material nature take over and compel us to act in a certain way. Once again, we'll explain in more detail. Once we decide to serve Krishna, then his yoga maya, the internal potency, takes over. And we start working under her direction. So either way, we have no free will except to decide which way to jump. That's it. Is that clear, Tunkel?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, sure. Any other questions? Himani, you're thinking. You look like you have a question.
No, Prabhuji.
Okay.
It's clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I was just sorry. I just want to say
Yeah, go ahead.
something.
Go
So
ahead.
at the last class we discussed that we are at the door of spiritual world, and it's just a one-way direction, and it's all on us whether we want to go on to that side or not, right?
This side or that side. And that's the free will.
That's a
That's what I'm talking about. So going inside means you want to serve Krishna. Going outside means no, we don't want to serve Krishna. We also Maya. That's it. That's the free will.
So that's the only free will we have.
That's the only free will we have. Bad news, huh?
No.
We thought we were all powerful, almighty. And we're not. Right?
I guess we all have decided which way to go.
I guess we are here. That's right. That's why.
Yes. And it's
But we're doing something about it, right? Maybe a
Sorry?
little bit, but we're doing something about it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So as I was saying, material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So when the soul or the living entity comes in contact with nature, material nature that is, he becomes conditioned by these modes and starts to act under the spell of these three modes of material nature. In other words, as I was saying before, the three modes influence a person's character, behavior and approach to life, etc. And it is these three modes that are the cause of the different types of happiness and distress that we get. And again, I'll explain that in more detail. But just make the point that our happiness and distress is coming because of these modes of material nature. If we were above them, we transcended them, we will not have material happiness or distress. And we certainly have no distress. Okay, now a very interesting point. So what are the three primary colors? Anybody knows? What are the three primary colors?
Red, blue, and either it's green or
Yellow.
Yellow?
So actually blue and yellow will make green.
okay,
Right.
yeah, yellow.
If you play with crayons still, you can try it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just get confused.
No worries, no worries. So those are three main colors: red, blue, and yellow. And by a combination of those three colors, you can make billions of different colors.
Yeah.
And actually, there's a book called Darshan. I don't know how many of you have seen it. It's a consists of pictures of pretty well all the ISKCON temples. The main deity, Radha Krishna deity, are pretty well all the temples in ISKCON. And each picture consists of 1.6 billion different colors. So my point is the three main colors or primary colors make billions of combinations. So similarly, these three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, make billions and trillions of combinations of personalities and natures and attitudes and activities and likes and dislikes. So every one of us has all three, but in different amounts. So some may have more of goodness, less of ignorance. Some have more of ignorance and less of goodness, and passion, same way. But all the combinations make literally trillions of different personalities. Is that concept clear? Because that's a very important concept.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's what happens. We meet, like 7.2 billion people just on Earth alone, and 7.2 billion different personalities, different tastes. It's all because of the permutations and combinations of the various amounts of goodness, passion, and ignorance in a person. Okay, so our preferences are different, our activities are different because of the various permutations and combinations of the modes of material nature. Right? Making sense so far?
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes, please, go ahead.
So this quality that we are talking, is it the quality of a soul?
No. The quality of the soul, that's not correct. It's the quality of the material nature that the soul becomes conditioned by. So think of it like this way. You take something that's white in color and you put it in a pink solution. It assumes the pink color, but inherently it's still white. I don't know if that's making any sense. So it's a think of it as a covering on the soul, because eventually you can get rid of it or you can rise above it. So soul, the inherent nature of the soul doesn't change.
Okay.
It's a covering on top of the soul.
But then should it not be same for all the souls?
Yes, it is. That's what I'm saying. It is. It is.
Okay.
But the amount of effect, we'll talk about this in a second. Amount of effect is different based upon your activities, karmas, and all those kind of things. We'll explain that.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's the same. Yeah.
So like basically what you're saying is material nature quality is also same, and the inherent, I mean, the soul is also soul is also like kind of constant, right? Like, I mean, it should, like both are in a way.
Let me give you a different example. Do you ever play Holi?
Yeah.
Okay. So imagine one Holi, somebody comes and puts some red color on your face. Okay, well now your face is red. And then sometime later, somebody else comes and puts blue color on your face. And then sometime later, somebody else comes and puts yellow color on your face. But each time, the amount is different. So let's say you played Holi for 7 days. Each day, the amounts and the combinations of the amounts were different. Your face would be different color on each of those 7 days, but you're still the same person.
Okay.
So the amount of color on you is different. So now you take 100 people in the crowd and they each get different amounts of blue, red, and yellow. All of them have different colors of the face. But they're all the same person they were before the colors were put on.
Okay. Okay, but then now the question is, where is that color coming from?
Yeah, so we'll talk about that. So give me a minute. Okay, just a minute and then we'll talk about all that.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. So let's just talk about the characteristics of people in different modes. So now, before I go into that, let me explain that nobody has only one mode. So nobody has only goodness, nobody has only passion, and nobody has any ignorance. As I was saying, the amounts may be different. So you may have much more goodness than I do. I may have much more ignorance than you do. But we all have all three, every one of us in this call. Okay? Is that concept clear? So as I was saying, depending upon the person. So, but now what I'm, sorry?
I have a question again.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, is that true for all the souls? I mean, including super soul or?
No. We're talking about souls who are living in the material world. Okay, and certainly not.
I have a question.
Okay, so just one minute, Mataji. I want to make sure I answered his question. So Nanda Prabhu, you're okay?
So, but then Devatas, would they have these three modes as well?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
So not less of ignorance, but a lot of goodness and a lot of passion.
Okay.
Remember, but sometimes they have ignorance also. Like, for example, Indra, the chief of the demigods, he once killed a Brahmin. That's ignorance. He has many times disturbed the 5 sacrifices of the kings. That's ignorance. Right? So, yeah, they have also. Not less than we do, but they do.
Okay.
Okay.
So other than Krishna, everyone has this mode.
Okay, so just give me a few minutes, okay? Let me explain. Otherwise, you're jumping way far. So just give me a few minutes. I'll answer all those questions, but in a systematic way. Right? But essentially, I'm saying the conditioned souls only have this modes of material nature.
Okay.
Okay, Sangeeta Mataji?
My question is that mode Rajasic, Tamasic, and
goodness means Sattvic.
And Swatik, Rajasic, and Tamasic. Yeah.
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Nand Prabhu, I promise you I'll answer your questions, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, all right. So assume for a second somebody has only goodness. I'm saying it's not the case, but I'm just so we understand the concept. Assume for a second. The person who's in mode of goodness, he's conditioned by the sense of happiness and knowledge. He will be wiser than those who are in modes of passion and ignorance. And therefore, he will not be much affected by material miseries because he understands different things. And a person in mode of goodness has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. So for example, it could be a scientist or a philosopher. They're generally proud of their knowledge and they feel that they know more than anybody else. Generally speaking, they also are better off economically. So they feel a sort of material happiness. So all these feelings of happiness bind them to mode of goodness, like they want to keep it. So they say, please come and bind me. And therefore they get the next body in the material world, because any mode is like a rope. With a, say, gold chain, a silver chain, or an iron chain, they all bind you. So goodness, you can think of it as a gold chain, but still a chain. It's binding you to the mode of goodness, which means you have to come back to the material world. So some people say, okay, if I'm only in goodness, then I can get liberated. No, you still have to come back. You may come back as a demigod. You may come back as a very rich person, very famous person, but you still have to come back. So that's the problem, that they become conditioned to feel that they're advanced in this knowledge and this happiness and the feeling of being better than others, which brings them back because it becomes a gold chain. Those of us who are in mode of passion or rajogun, as Sangeeta Mataji was saying, they are characterized by the quality of frantically, literally frantically seeking immediate and short-term gains. And they don't want anything beyond that in their life. Just give me money, give me power, give me something now, and they're happy. They have unlimited desires, which bound them to do more and more fruitive activities. Everybody remembers what fruitive activities?
Yeah.
What is that?
Activity like you are bound by the result of that activity.
Right. So you do the activity with the desire for results, and then you want to enjoy the results.
Yep.
So that's fruitive activity. So, for example, giving in charity, I'll get more later, or doing fire sacrifice, I'll get more later. So that's a fruitive activity. So these people in mode of passion, they get bound to fruitive activities. And they want honor, they want fame, they want nice family, happy family, they want a big house, and they work very hard to get all that. They have unlimited greed. There's no end to their greed. They can have $1 billion today, they want 2. They may have 2, they want 5 billion, and so on and so forth. Never ending. They're never satisfied. And therefore, they become entangled in the mode of passion. Then comes the mode of ignorance, fun. Those persons who are in mode of ignorance, tamoguna, they rarely, if ever, achieve happiness at all. They become mad and they don't understand what is what. They're not interested in anything spiritual. Don't talk to them about bhakti. Don't talk to them about Krishna. Don't talk to them about the spiritual world. They're lazy. They sleep 10, 12, 14, 15 hours.
Restless.
They literally develop foolishness, madness, and they're totally in the illusion. And those people who are in this mode, whatever they do is not good for them or for anybody else. Now you talk about no good. They have no respect for themselves or for anybody else. So as a result, they take shelter in intoxication, ganja and opium and all the opiates that are going on today, and liquor and beer and all those kind of things. And they behave in a way that's totally destructive and cruel. I had read the news about a person, this is about 2 years ago, who had a cat. And he decided he was going to see the effect of a microwave on his cat. He literally put the cat in the microwave and turned it on. Imagine being cruel like that. That is mode of ignorance. It's a true story.
Yeah.
And there are millions of stories, I'm sure you know of many of those. So we all have a combination of all 3 modes. And what happens is that they compete with each other. Mode of goodness is competing with mode of ignorance, is competing with passion, is competing with goodness, and they keep competing for each other for supremacy within the same individual. And literally in the cycle of one day, a single day, different modes may become more predominant or more prominent at different times. So as I was saying before, the prominence of a certain mode is manifested in one's dealings, the activities, what they eat, how they behave, all those kind of things, right? So in general, goodness pacifies an individual because it gives people the joy, the wisdom, gives rise to altruism, kindness, etc.
On your back wasn't making me calm, it was making me relax.
Okay. I just muted her. Okay. So in goodness, we want to be altruistic, we want to be kind, we are wise, we feel happy. In passion, we are attached to things, especially our thing. This is my thing, my house, my car, my wife, my husband, all those kind of things. And we want to do just fruitive activities. What's in it for me? I'll do this. What do I get in return? Because I'm interested in the return, not what I do. And for nice return, I'll work as hard as I need to. I have uncontrollable desire, and I hanker for all good things in life. That's mode of passion. Ignorance basically obscures and impedes one's life. And it often results in people oversleeping, like literally I'm talking about 12, 14, 16 hours, or all day for that matter. Indifference to situations, totally an illusion, totally lazy, and total inertia. Don't want to take any initiative. They don't want to do anything. Just let them sleep, let them get drunk and just sit there like a zombie, not do anything. Okay. Any questions so far?
Yes, Prabhuji, can we say that a person who is in ignorance is restless, always restless? Can we say that?
Restless in a different way. Restless that he's not happy, he's not sure why he's not happy, but he doesn't care why he's not happy. He's just happy not being not happy. And but it's not restless in the sense that he takes initiatives. He doesn't try to correct his situation.
No.
It's not restless in that sense. That is passion. Restless people actually achieve a lot material things in their life. They are the ones who make new discoveries. They're the ones who build big buildings. They're the ones who start new processes, invent things. That's all mode of passion. Right? So they're creative people. It's like Lord Brahma, the creator of the material world, is in mode of, what's the mode of Lord Brahma?
Passion?
Huh? I'm asking, yes. What's
Passion?
That? Passion, yes. Yes, exactly. Okay?
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes, Mataji.
I think this was in text 6 that they were trying to explain the mode of goodness. And you said that it's free from all sinful reactions. I think I'm a little confused that way between passion and goodness because as you said, like people do charities and stuff and that comes under passion. So then what exactly comes under goodness?
No, I didn't say charities come under passion. I didn't say that. I said building. Building is under passion. Charity is goodness.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I said that, but I don't think, at least I didn't mean to
Yeah,
say
that's why I got confused.
No.
Because you
No,
said
no.
so you said something along the lines that people like do charity and then they want to expect something like something good to happen to them.
Oh no, I was talking about fruitive activities. So fruitive activity is that you do something, but you want something in return. Oh, I see. So now I see. So yes, and I was talking about people in mode of passion who are more attached to fruitive activities. So the difference is that a person in mode of goodness does charity without expecting any honor, fame, recognition.
Yes.
But a person in mode of passion gives to charity so they can get their name on the plaque, on the building, in the newspapers, so on and so forth. So the motivation that's different. I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. I did say that.
Okay. Thank you.
But is that clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And then if you could just like explain a little bit more on goodness, like some more qualities maybe.
So basically, they have more knowledge. They are happy by nature. They feel the joy. That they want to do good things for other people without expecting a return. They would usually eat food that's sattvic in nature, in other words, like vegetarian food, maybe fatty food, not pungent, not licorice, and so on and so forth. They live more regulated life. So waking up early in the morning, going to bed early in the evening, and so on and so forth. Like going to the temple, all those kind of things. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other question?
Prabhuji, I was thinking like the creation, the creating activity of Brahma was mode of goodness.
No, mode of passion.
Okay, then is it is it the, like, I mean, is it an activity of fruitive action as well? Or
no, but this is in the sense of he has been given an order, a responsibility to create. Creating things is mode of passion.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, Brahma is a very special person in that clearly he is not in mode of passion himself, but he's in charge of mode of passion. Like he's the head of our sampradaya. He's purest of the devotees.
Yeah.
It's just a kind of a confusing scenario, but his activities are in mode of passion. But that's a very special situation.
Okay.
I have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a very interesting one. So then, for example, us coming to this class and trying to advance in bhakti is because we do expect something in return. Maybe we become better humans or something or the other. So then in that case, there is like our quality in the mode of passion for like, or is it in the mode of goodness, or is it just like bhakti? Because we are not pure devotees, so I don't even want to say that. But still.
Okay, that's a very good question, by the way. Very intelligent question. So, and because it allows me to talk about a very important concept. So there are two platforms: material platform, and what's the other one?
Spiritual.
Spiritual. Right. Now, I think everybody will understand if there are two parallel lines, they never meet. Right? So spiritual and material platforms are like two parallel lines.
Yeah.
Spiritual being higher than the material, but they never meet. What that means is that activities on one platform never intersect activities on the other platform. So when you do bhakti, like attending a Gita class, for example, what platform would that be on? Spiritual or material?
Spiritual.
Yes, spiritual. So what platform are the modes of material nature on?
Material.
Okay, so they never intersect. So therefore, attending a Gita class is a spiritual activity and therefore not affected by modes of material nature. Does it make sense?
Yes, and even if like the desire is probably at the top of my head, just to be a better.
So I'm glad you brought that up also. So there are two types of devotees. One is known as Sakam, and I'll explain what that means. Other is known as Nishkam.
Nishkam.
Sakam means I do devotional service, but I have material desires.
Yep.
And Nishkam is I do devotional service simply to please Krishna. I have no material desires.
Yep.
So we are Sakam Bhaktas. We're doing devotional service with material desires. So even when we don't ask Krishna, in our heart it says, can you give me this? Can you give me that? Can you give me the best looking husband or best looking wife? Or can you give me $1 million or $10 million, whatever? These days, nobody asks for $1 million. It doesn't go very far. So start with 10. Right? In Toronto, Vancouver, you can't even buy a house with that.
It's so true.
Right? So Twinkle, does that answer your question?
Yes, yes.
By the way, very good question. Both of them excellent questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually had a question.
Yeah, Maluka, go ahead, please.
This is relating to...
It's a pleasure to get a question from you. Go ahead.
This is relating to the discussion that was on Brahma and depending on the mode. So my question becomes, you know, like personalities like Brahma or Shiva, they were obviously carrying out orders that were given to them by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in that case, you can say that they were doing their devotional service because they're carrying out their duty and they're carrying out the orders that are given.
Sure.
Well, then can you help me understand then how do they actually fall into the modes then? Because that is their service essentially that they're carrying out.
So not only that, they're also pure devotees.
Right.
Right? And they're also actually expansions of Krishna.
Right.
Right? And let me tell you how one becomes Brahma. So Brahma is a living entity like you and me. But when a person for 100 human births performs no sinful activities, then he becomes shortlisted for the post of Brahma. Shortlisted. Doesn't get it necessarily. Shortlisted. So that's how qualified Brahma is. And sometimes there's nobody on that list, then Krishna himself becomes Brahma. So how can he be in mode of passion? Similarly, Lord Shiva is a very special person. He's between living entity and Krishna. How can he be in mode of ignorance? So they are not. They're in charge of these. So Lord Shiva is in charge of mode of ignorance. Lord Brahma is in charge of mode of passion. They're not in mode of passion, not in mode of ignorance. And that's the difference.
They are away from these modes.
Oh yeah, they're totally away. Okay. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right.
I
yes.
have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, does these modes of, is it only, does that also comes from the previous births, previous janmas? Will that be carried forward? And also, another question is, will that also come from our ancestors?
Okay, so very good question. So I will discuss in more detail, but I'm going to give a short answer now, then we'll explain later. So yes, your activities in the previous births, which is your karma, purely determine which modes will be predominant in this life. Okay, so it's totally based on your karmas. And we'll talk about that. Okay, but no, they cannot come from anybody else. Not your ancestors, not your neighbors, not your lovers, nobody. They're all yours. And we'll talk about that also.
Okay.
Okay.
So, just one more.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Then that means when the soul goes out of this body and goes into another womb, mother's womb, so it will be choosing the person based on their ancestors also, because sometimes our ancestors, how they think, or based on their modes, there will be some resemblance also sometimes.
So actually take a more extreme case. Don't think human for a second, because that becomes confusing.
Okay.
So let's say humans, a soul that's in the human body now, leaves the body, but goes to become a dog, goes in a dog's body. So goes in the womb of a female dog. I was going to use the other word, but it's not polite. So, or in a hawk's womb, or, a skunk's womb, so on and so forth. Well, so what happened? What happened here? So essentially, the parents are chosen according to which karmas are going to fructify, which modes of material nature are going to be predominant in your next life. So that's how the choice is made. So now you can extend that to humans. I think it becomes easier to answer.
Okay.
Right? So that's where confusion comes, because people say, oh, the parents, the genes affected this person. But the genes really don't affect. It's that Krishna is very smart. So he already matches the genes with your karmas. And therefore you just come there. But not always. So for example, Prahlad Maharaj, who was his father?
Hiranyakashipu. Mm-hmm.
Who was he? He was a demon.
Yeah.
Who was the son of a very famous sage, Vishrava Muni. Very, very famous, a very pious Vishrava Muni. Who was his son? Goody, you're on mute. Goody, you're on mute.
Ravan?
Yeah. Ravana, yes. So Ravana's parents were very pious, great sages. But he was a demon. Right? Prahlad Maharaj's son was a demon. His name was Virochan. And you know who was son of Virochan? Bali Maharaj. So it's not guaranteed that a demon son would be demon. A bad person son would be a bad person. It's very random.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, let's move on. So actually, I was just going to start talking about reincarnation. Everybody knows reincarnation, right? What's reincarnation? What's reincarnation?
Taking birth again?
Yes, taking birth again in a different body. Okay.
Body.
So he's going to talk about, he's talking about reincarnation process, which is the process by which a soul receives a new material body. But based on what? This is what Rampriya Prabhu was talking about. Based on the activities performed in the present body or previous bodies. So our activities that we do are a result of the decisions we make. And our decisions are based on the most prominent mode of material nature at the time.
Yeah.
Is that clear? Because that's another very important concept. So remember, tie it together. I said any of the three modes can be prominent at any given time. Right? So activities we do may be totally different in nature in the same day, depending upon which mode was prominent. Right? So the decisions we make, so literally, decision we make at noon may be different from decision we would have made at 6 in the morning. And potentially, I'm not saying definitely, potentially. Just to make sure that we understand the concept. Like a lot of times, people make a decision they regret all their life, like kill somebody or hurt somebody. Why? The mode of ignorance was strong at the moment. Like they would never hit anybody otherwise. But that moment, the mode of ignorance became prominent. And they regret it for the rest of their life. But they did it because the mode of ignorance became more prominent. Okay? So that concept needs to be clear. All right. So therefore, Krishna can predict the future destination of an individual soul based on the predominant mode in their life. Right? Generally speaking, and there's a verse for this in this chapter, verse number 18. It says, those who are situated in mode of goodness, after leaving their body, they go to the higher planets where great sages reside. Those in passion, mode of passion, remain on earthly planets and they engage in fruitive activities. And those in mode of ignorance go down to the hellish planets or take birth in one of the 8 million non-human lower species like the birds, the beasts, the trees, reptiles, etc. In other words, regardless of what mode you are conditioned by, you're simply traveling from one planet to another planet in one type of body or another type of body. So you're stuck here as long as you are in one of those three modes. Is that clear? That's another very important concept. So the modes of material nature are keeping you in this world. Do you understand why now? Silence means everybody's enlightened.
Yes.
Everybody's in mode of goodness now. They know it all.
No, I am just depressed after this point of time.
Depressed.
Like
Sorry if I did that.
I as a soul have to fight all this Maya and then go towards, being good, and then ultimately become another demigod, then come back, then take the bhakti yoga path. Like, it's just too much.
So we'll address that.
It's just too much. How will I do all this?
So we will address that. But the simple answer to your question and your worry is just chant.
Chant.
Just chant. That's all. There's nothing else you need to do in the age of Kali. Nothing else. And Krishna says if you chant and surrender to him, he says, Ma Shucha, do not worry. Don't worry about anything. Why? Because he says, I'll take care of you. I'll give you what you don't have, and I'll protect what you have. So it's like, your dad is sitting right with you. He said, Beta, don't worry. Whatever you need, I'll get it for you. And whatever you have, I got it. Don't worry. I have your back. So when you got a dad like that, why worry? Nothing to worry about. Just have fun. That's why they said, chant and be happy. Very easy formula. Works every time. Right, Twinkle?
Yeah,
Twinkle,
but
twinkle, little star. Huh?
now I have to update my spiritual resume.
Yes. Yes, we all do that. We all need to do that. Okay? All right. So, having understood the characteristics of these three modes, I think you can start to guess what combination of the modes a person you're dealing with has. Does he have more or she have more of goodness or passion or ignorance or less? Just from looking at their behavior, their thought process, and their actions. Right? So, but now, this is what Rampriya Prabhu was asking. The real question is, so how do we get above these things? How do we transcend these modes? And Twinkle was also concerned about this. How do we transcend those things? Otherwise, we just keep going back. So Krishna says we can understand the process of transcending these modes of material nature by simply understanding these characteristics properly and the process of transcending them properly. And we can do that by learning from those people who are fully in Krishna consciousness. In other words, devotees or a guru, the spiritual master. And by the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master, we can know what our spiritual position is, what our material body consists of, what is its function, what are my senses about or all about, and how I'm trapped in my body. And literally, we're trapped in the body. And how we are under the spell of these modes of material nature. Simply from understanding these modes and understanding the process of how to transcend. And of course, understanding our own situation in that we are the soul trapped in this material body with no control over our life, with no freedom to do what we want to do, what we want to act on, because we are totally, completely tied, hands and legs and body and the neck, the ropes, the three gunas, mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Totally helpless. We're in the grip of these modes, and we are not the doers. We're not the performer of different activities. Rather, we are forced to act in a certain way because we have been given a particular type of body, which is conducted by one of these three modes. If we understand that, then it becomes easier to become fixed in Krishna consciousness. And as I was saying before, we're either under the control of Yoga Maya, Krishna's internal potency, or under the control of Maya, the external potency.
Yeah.
Either way, we're not in control. But what it also means is that if we are in Krishna consciousness, we're not controlled by Maya. Right? And in 7th chapter, if you may recall, Krishna said that if you surrender to him, surrender to Krishna, he will relieve us from the activities of material nature and allow us to transcend this modes of material nature, and then we become free from this material world, free from birth, death, old age, and disease. I'm going to stop again and ask you if that made any sense. Any questions on that? Because again, very important concepts.
When you say that you need to understand these three modes, and that's how you can be free from this, how do we then identify this? Like, are we identifying it within ourselves first of all? And if we are, then like, if we know about, let's say we know about this today in today's class, so then how do we like get out of it then? Now we know this knowledge.
Correct. And that's what I'm trying to explain, that if you understand what your weaknesses are, if you understand what your constraints are, then you can do something about it. And I'm also saying that Krishna said the solution is very simple. Solution to the problem of being trapped by the modes of material nature is to simply fix your mind unto his lotus feet. And the process to do that is the hearing, the chanting, the remembering, the associating with the devotees, serving in the temple, all those things. So he's saying, be in full Krishna consciousness and I'll take care of it. On your own, you cannot do it. So it's like all of us, there are 19 people on this call. All of us have our hands and legs and feet and neck tied with the ropes of the three modes of material nature. So if you all are tied, how can you free either one of us? A bound man cannot free a bound man, right? So you need somebody whose hands and feet are not tied to untie you. And that is a pure devotee, that is a spiritual master. So that's why we need the help of a spiritual master or pure devotee to untie them. And the process they've given is that you chant, you serve, you hear, you remember, and accept a spiritual master who will free you up, and then you transcend. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So now, as Tulkar was asking, now Arjun is asking the same question. So how do I know?
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know. Like I mean, this might be funny, but I have this question.
Okay.
Like, if like Krishna could have simply told, like, just do this, like instead of these complicated like explanations, right? Like, I mean, like even after all these explanations, he's again saying, okay, like chanting is more than enough, like don't worry about all these things, right? Like why why is that?
Why so many chapters?
Why so many chapters? Yeah, that's right.
Well, so let me ask you this. Suppose Bhagavad Gita consisted of few lines. Arjun says, I don't want to fight. Krishna said, no, you should fight. No, I don't want to fight. Why should I fight? Okay, you should fight because Okay, and that's what took so many verses, because Arjun was not convinced. So these days, people are very intellectual. They don't want to accept a premise. They don't want to accept an instruction that doesn't give why. Children in this age and time, right from the age of 2, when they start speaking, first word they hear or say is why. Why, daddy? Why, mommy? So you got to be able to say, here's the reason. You know, in my generation, parents said, because I said so, and that was good enough. In your generation, doesn't work. Right? Himani, am I right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So, I mean, I'm telling you, first-hand experience, it doesn't work. You have to give them reasons. So Krishna has to give them reasons. And then a lot of us don't recognize that we have a problem. We think we are problem-free, we are fault-free. So Krishna said, I got to show you, I could tell you where the problems are. So that's what's taking time. You know, and if you think these are lots of many verses, how many verses in Bhagavad Gita? Anybody knows?
762, like something like 762. Not sure.
What's the exact number?
745.
Okay, I have 762 of 745 is going down. Anybody else?
It's also said.
700, yes. 700 verses.
Close to 700.
No, not close to, exactly 700.
Exactly, okay.
Exactly 700 verses.
Okay.
Now, about 695th verse or something like that, Krishna says to Arjun, did you understand everything I said? Arjun said, yes.
Forget that.
Now I'm clear. Just imagine if Arjun said, no, I don't understand. Gita would have 1400 verses, but Krishna would have explained everything all over again. Right? So good thing Arjun said, yeah, I got it. So when the point I'm making is that if you don't explain the people what the problem is, they're not willing to accept the answer. So that's what's happening. It's explaining, here's the problem. And actually Arjun asked the question. He says, okay, here's what it is. Yeah, here's the solution. Okay. So now Arjun says, so what are the symptoms of the persons who have transcended the modes of material nature? So remember, we talked about the symptoms of the people who are in the modes of material nature. We talked about mode of goodness. We talked about passion and ignorance. We talked about how they behave, how they act, what their preferences are, what their attitudes are, etc. Now Arjun says, okay, fine. What about people who have transcended it? Because how would I know? So Krishna says, okay, a person who has transcended the modes of material nature feels no envy, does not hanker for anything, and he engages in devotional service of the Lord. And he does so that he almost forgets this material body. He says, I'm the spirit soul, eternal servant of Krishna. As opposed to those who have not transcended, they've forgotten I'm a spirit soul, they think I'm this body. So totally opposite of each other. Because once one is conscious of the material body, that I'm this body, then that person acts only for his or her sense gratification. But when we transcend the modes of material nature and our consciousness is transferred to Krishna, then we are not interested in our sense gratification, but we're interested in making Krishna happy. So we're interested in Krishna's sense gratification, not ours. So totally opposite. So for someone who has transcended the modes of material nature, it doesn't mean that the modes of material nature stop acting on the body. But basically, what happens is soul says, hey, I'm aloof of this body. Therefore, I'm aloof from activities. I'm not this body, so why should I worry? How does that work? The soul says, I'm not enjoying the body. I'm not looking for my enjoyment. Nor do I care that I'm in this body. I stay, I don't stay, I don't care. And that's called being situated in a transcendental position above the material things. And when that happens, the person is automatically freed. You don't have to try to become free from the influence of material nature. Krishna will arrange that. All we have to do is worry about how to become a good devotee. So that's our only role. And that's the free will we have. And we can leave everything else to Krishna. Krishna says that, look, you surrender to me and then don't worry. All your worries are taken care of. Even your material worries are taken care of. There's so many stories of Krishna making sure a devotee's daughter gets married properly, son gets married properly, other things they get taken care of properly. In the material things, Krishna says, you don't worry. Let me worry about you because now you're mine. I got you. Imagine, how would you like to hear Krishna say to you, I got you. That's the ultimate. Okay?
How we will know that Krishna got us, Prabhuji?
When your
Just
material desires stop
completely.
When your material attachments stop completely, when all you can think of is serving him, or doing something for his pleasure, when you start to enjoy chanting of the holy name, when you can't stop chanting, then you know Krishna has got you. Until then, basically try to hold his finger. So he has extended it. Now he's trying to hold it.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Sure. Okay. So that was the
Prabhuji.
symptom. Now, how does a person...
Sorry, Prabhuji, I have a question.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
So I don't know, like it is just my feeling. Is it not pushing us to be like lazy, not doing anything, and
No,
just
no.
I don't know, like I said it is my feeling.
No.
Sure. So the devotees of Krishna are engaged 24/7 in the service. Now, Prabhupada, he was 69 years old when he came to America. Do you think a lazy person can do that? And he tried to convince so many people to become devotees. He traveled the whole world 14 times in 12 years. He slept only 2 to 3 hours a day, if that. Was constantly dealing with different people, different temples in different countries. And you think those people were easy to deal with? Well, they were the drunkards. They were in drugs, with all sorts of gratification. Imagine taking somebody who all his life has done nothing but drink, associate with the opposite sex, and just have no responsibility, have long hair, and never taken a bath for like a month. And tell them to wake up at 3 in the morning, take bath every day, shave your head, do not eat meat, do not eat eggs, onions, garlics, and continuously serve in the temple and go out in the cold and distribute these books. A lazy person can do that, right? Even today, those of us who are serious devotees still waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, taking shower and serving the Lord all day, then taking care of the family, taking care of the job, and then serving the Lord again, chanting, trying to convince other people to serve Krishna, to chant, doing classes. That's not a lazy person's work.
Okay. So is that all the activities of like mode of goodness in mode
No.
of good?
No, this is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Activities of devotional service are not on material platform. So they're not in any mode.
Okay.
They're spiritual activities. They're above, they're transcending the modes of material nature.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? That's why they don't result in karmas. Material activities would result in karmas. Devotional activities do not result in karma.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Sure. So, what are the activities of a person who has transcended the modes of material nature, as opposed to symptoms that we talked about? So, this person is not affected by honor and dishonor. Like, who cares? He accepts things that are favorable for his duty in Krishna consciousness. So, favorable things are like observing Ekadashi, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, chanting, doing arti, etc. And he just does that. And he has really no necessity for anything material, with his gold or stone, doesn't matter. He takes everyone as his friend and he tries to help everybody become Krishna conscious. He doesn't hate his so-called enemy, equally disposed to everybody and sees everything on an equal level. Why is that? Because he knows perfectly well that he has nothing to do with the material existence. He's not from this material world. And his existence in the material world is temporary. Therefore, social and political issues don't bother him, don't affect him. Again, he knows that all the upheavals, all the disturbances are just temporary. They come and they go, they come and they go. He doesn't attempt to do anything for his own sake, but he'll do anything for Krishna. So those are the things in terms of activities of such a person. Any questions before I move on? Okay, so Arjun had asked one last question, which was how? Oh, sorry, oh, I forgot. Let me go back to, what was the third question? Let me just look at the book, okay? Just 1 second. Oh, yeah, so he wanted to know how to do all that. So, okay, now I understand the symptoms. I understand the activities. How do we do it? So Krishna says, if you engage in full devotional service with unflinching, unfailing determination, that no matter what obstructions, obstacles, impediments come in your way, you roll over all of them. That person transcends the material nature, the modes of material nature. Obviously, that person is a bhakta, a devotee. So, just to conclude, remember one thing, that although goodness is the best among the three modes, it's still karmic in that it implicates you the laws of karma. You're still in the material world. To become completely free of the karmic reactions, you have to transcend all the modes of material nature, even the goodness, and become situated on the spiritual platform, devotional platform. And that can happen only if you engage in bhakti yoga, but with completely unflinching determination. And that can happen only when you take inspiration and help from those who are already there, which means the pure devotees or the spiritual masters. Questions? Comments? So first of all, Nand Kumar Prabhu, did I answer your questions that you were asking earlier? Are your questions answered? Because I have to wait to get answered, so I want to make sure that they did get answered.
Okay, so I have, yeah. Like, what is the source of these modes? Like, where do they come from?
So these are the material nature has these three qualities. And material nature is produced as one of the first things when the material world is created. It's the material nature that becomes impregnated with the living entities. So it's there. That's where we are born. And it has the three qualities. Okay, these are the three qualities of the material world, you can say, if material nature is confusing you.
Yeah. So like when the first time it was created, and like how did we start getting influenced with these modes?
So remember, it's not a one-time activity.
Yep.
It's not the first time this world was created. It keeps on happening all the time, right? So who knows when was the first time, but it doesn't matter. Whenever it starts this time, all the living entities were in the womb of Mahavishnu along with their karmas.
Okay, but along with their karmas, like I did not.
Okay, so in the next chapter you'll understand that, but basically this is gross body that you see, the spiritual body, the soul that you don't see, and there's something called subtle body. It consists of mind, intelligence, and false ego.
False ego.
That subtle body stays with the soul until it becomes completely pure, eligible to go to spiritual world. So that subtle body is with the soul all the time, even in the womb of Narayan or Mahavishnu. So false ego carries all the karmas with it, and the mind carries all the conceptions of the previous lives.
Oh.
So all the conceptions are in the mind, all the karmas are in the false ego, and they go wherever the soul goes. So when the material world starts all over again, according to its karmas and according to its conceptions, is given a certain type of body. So right in the beginning of the creation, somebody may be born in the body of a dog, somebody in a cat, somebody in a human, somebody in a demigod, so on and so forth, right? Because of their previous karmas.
But I don't know. Like I mean, I just wanted to. I just had one more question. Like what was it, or how was it looking like when it was zero time?
Okay, so there are different situations being created, but it says that the first time everybody was in the body like Brahma, but then they started to act in their own interest and started accumulating karmas. So first time everybody was same, but depending upon what activities they did, the varieties started. So does that answer your question? Maybe I'm not answering your question. Is that what you're trying to understand?
Yeah. Like I mean, yeah. I don't know. Like I have one more one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. Like why was this created? Like I mean, why was material nature created then?
So remember we talked about that. We said the living entities, the soul said, I want to enjoy. I don't want to serve. I want to be the boss. And that was the rebellion. That caused the problem. So misuse of the free will.
Yep.
Those of us who said, no, I want to continue to serve, they stayed in the spiritual world. They're known as eternally liberated. Nitya Siddha. Some of us said, no, we want to enjoy. We want to be the boss. So we're sent into the material world to think we can enjoy, to think we can be the boss. And that's where the problem came. So our problem started with that decision, that one decision we made. To say we want to be the boss, we want to be the enjoyer. We screwed up and we're still paying for it. Right?
Yeah.
So now is the time to say, okay, I've suffered enough. I want to get out now. Hence the devotional service. Hence the need to transcend the modes of material nature. Otherwise, we are trapped eternally. There's no way out.
Is it like at zero time? I'm going back to the zero time again. So we were all Brahmas. All the souls were Brahmas, and at the same time, was the material nature also created, or is it like after?
Yeah, so first the material nature gets created, and then the living entities take the bodies. Well, otherwise, where will you go?
Okay.
Right? So modes of material nature, false ego, mind, intelligence, water, earth, fire, it's all created first.
Okay.
Otherwise, you have no place to go.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
All right. Who is still confused? Nobody's confused. That's great. I did a great job.
Yes.
Okay, what about those people who did not ask any questions? Okay, then we can finish earlier than 4 minutes earlier than normal. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Mancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Very
Krishna.
nice class.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.